Previously on Survivor. After an intense obstacle course challenge, Kyle won his second individual immunity.
Why? It hurt.
Idol clues caused tension between Alex and the rest of his former alliance, but by not sharing the clues, Emma and Kyle secured the remaining 2 idols in the game.
I'm gonna go look at it. Alright.
I should have fucking flipped. That's what that means. I should have taken his ass out. You fucking bitch.
Another fucking idol.
At Tribal Council, Emma and Michael both played idols, and Alex was sent home unanimously.
I'm playing that for myself.
I'm also gonna play this for myself.
Alex, the tribe has spoken. Now, 5 players remain, battling it out to win the title of Sole Survivor. Kyle has dominated the game from the very beginning, forming strong social bonds and winning the most challenges out of anyone. Will he be able to overcome his label as the biggest threat and make it to the final 3?
I think I've played a great game. I've done all that I can do. I've made big moves. I've formed the alliances I need to, and I am a big threat.
Emma has managed to fly under the radar by using sneaky conversation tactics, but people are starting to recognize her as a strategic mastermind. Will her alliance with Kyle propel her to the finish, or will it be her downfall?
Overall, I started with a lot of people who I thought I can trust, and basically I trust no one but Kyle at this point.
Lucas has used persuasion and perception to form alliances and find advantages. His catty gameplay has made him some enemies on the jury. Will his strategic plays be enough to change their minds?
I think I still am perceived as one of the worst players. I think it's Kyle's number 1, or perceived. This is perceived, even though obviously clearly I should be number 1 because amazing gameplay. Am I right?
Polis's loud and upfront style of gameplay has rubbed some of his tribe mates the wrong way, but he's managed to work his way into the final 5 despite being at the bottom. If he makes it to the final 3, will he be able to convince the jury that he deserves the title of Sole Survivor?
I'm gonna use my shield strategy to show that I've been always playing, I've been the threat. How nobody saw me because I've been the silent assassin.
Michael's passion for the game of Survivor and ability to make deals based on mutual interest have propelled him into the final 5. He's the last Medici member standing, but will he survive all the way to Final Tribal?
So at this point in the game, it's something I'm pretty used to. Finding the players who have a mutual interest keeping me around and working within those lines to keep myself alive.
5 remain, but only 1 can win. Who will be UChicago's first ever Sole Survivor? Alex, the tribe has spoken. However, it is not time for you to go. Please join the jury. If you are voted out, you will remain here.
We will get you to your place.
Is this a double vote night?
We are going to compete in our next challenge here at Tribal Council. There will not be another vote out right now. We're just doing the challenge.
Oh wait, is this when you have to choose who you think is gonna win and then you get money? Wait, no, that's America's Next Top Model.
Kyle, we will take it back. opportunity is back up for grabs. For this challenge, it's very simple. We will read you a multiple choice question. You will look at your answer cards, should have A, B, C, D. You will pick which one you think is correct. If you get it correct, you will get a point, and whoever has the most points after 14 questions will be the winner.
All right. After Allie, who had the next highest vote total at the first impressions vote? A, Bella, B, Mimi, C, Michael, or D, Arthi? Reveal in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See a lot of B's, and B is in fact the correct answer. Is Mimi.
All right. From this point on, when we say votes, the first impression vote does not count. Question 2. Which player had never had a vote cast against them prior to being voted out? A, Callie, B, Bella, C, Gia, or D, Annie? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reveal. Everyone says C except for Lucas, who says A. The correct answer was indeed C, Gia.
Wait, how am I even supposed to know who was getting the votes or not? Like, if they were on my time. Anyways, okay. Confused.
Everyone except Lucas with a score of 2, Lucas with 1. Next question.
Which player attended only one tribal council before the merge? A, Alex, B, Gia, C, Jeff, or D, Allie? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reveal. We got a lot of C's, and the correct answer is in fact C, Jeff.
All right, next question. What was the 4th challenge? A, paddles and cups. B, keep talking and nobody explodes. C, the Bonnie Pond relay. Or D, Survivor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reveal. Michael, Emma, and Kyle say A. Lucas and Polis say B. The correct answer was A, paddles and cups. Kyle, Emma, and Michael get a point.
What is the highest number of votes that anyone has gotten at a single tribal? A, 6, B, 7, C, 8, or D, 9? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reveal. See a lot of B's, and B is the correct answer. It's 7.
All right, who has won the most challenges, both tribe and individual? A, Annie. B, Alex. C, Kyle. Or D, Emma? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reveal. Michael changed his answer at the last second. Correct answer was C, Kyle. Everyone but Michael gets a point.
Who negated votes cast against them with an idol? A, Kyle, B, Michael, C, Bella, or D, Emma? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reveal. See a lot of C's, and C is the correct answer. It's Bella.
Next question. Who has had the most votes cast against them? A, Annie. B, Jeff. C, Mimi. Or D, Alex? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reveal. A couple people say A, a couple people say D, but the correct answer was D, Alex. Kyle and Emma get a point. Current scores. We have Emma and Kyle in the lead at 8. Let's see, Michael and Polis close behind with 6, and Lucas at 5.
Which of the following is not the name of the Survivor production member? A, Max, B, Maya, C, Felix, or D, Andrew? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reveal. I see 3 D's and 2 A's. The correct answer is D, Andrew. Max is one of our lovely cameras.
Alright, which player was voted out without receiving the majority of the votes? A. Domingo. B. Bella. C. Hale. Or D. Ali? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reveal. I see a variety of answers, but the correct answer was C. Hale. Sorry, go ahead.
Which remaining player did not win any superlative categories? A. Kyle. B. Emma. C. Polis. Or D. Lucas? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reveal. See a lot of D's, and D is the correct answer. Wah, wah.
Who was voted out at the 8th Tribal Council? A. Annie. B. Jeff. C. Pablo. Or D. Gia? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, reveal. Everyone says C, and everyone is correct. It was Pablo.
Which microscav task was not worth 20 points? A. Saying a bad pun in class. B. Diving into Lake Michigan. C. Shaking hands with Dean Boyer. Or D. Bringing chocolate chip cookies to me and Callie. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reveal. See a couple of A's from Michael, Polis, and Kyle. A couple of D's from Lucas and Emma. Correct answer is D. Bringing chocolate chip cookies.
The last question. How many challenges have we done so far, not including this one? A 10, B 11, C 12, or D 13? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reveal. Kyle and Emma both say B, and so does Polis. Lucas says A, Michael says C. The correct answer was B 11.
Kyle, congratulations. You've won immunity yet again. Kyle only got 1 question wrong. Emma's gotten 2.
Congratulations, Kyle. You are in the final 4 theoretically. Everyone else, we will have tribal council once we get back from the break. Until then, relax. Don't even think about Survivor.
Unless you have to.
Ooh, so we're at the final 5 right now. I just won individual immunity for myself, which feels fantastic. Words cannot describe how good it feels to know that my fate in this game is completely in my hands and I can't get voted out anymore.
The worst case scenario happens. You get the final 5 immunity challenge, and guess who wins? Kyle. At that point, everyone is livid. We literally have to beat him, but apparently, as far as he's saying, he had a full list of challenges, votes, and everything. He kept track and literally studied before the challenge anyway. So good for him, you know, it just shows the commitment and the level of the player he is, right?
I thought I was being kind of psychotic because after every single challenge that we had, I came back to my room and I had a list of every day that something happened for Survivor on, the challenge that we had, who won the challenge, who got voted out, what the vote was, who else received votes, and then an order of who had the most votes in the game. I was well prepared. I studied. I don't know. I really feel like I've earned my spot in the final 4.
Kyle won for the 2nd time in a row, and it's just like, what? Like, this is so dumb. Like, props to you, Kyle. Like, you really do deserve to win. Would he maybe give me immunity? Like, that'd be nice. Maybe I can trick him. Just kidding, he's not gonna do that.
Trying to figure out what to do at Tribal tomorrow or on Wednesday. is a whole mess. Me and Emma already told Michael that we were gonna vote out Polis with him, but the more that I thought about it, because we just had Thanksgiving break, the more that I thought about it, the more that I realized that taking out Michael now is probably a better move than taking out Polis, because Michael is a bigger threat to beat me at the end.
I think Lucas and I are safe. There's no reason for them to vote me out. It's going to be between Cal and Emma. Obviously, Michael and Emma. I think Michael will vote for Emma, and he said as much. He's, oh yeah, Emma is the target, whatever, and Lucas and I will vote for Emma, or we'll vote for Michael, and Cal and Emma will obviously vote Michael out too, because they obviously think they have a better shot to beat us than Michael. They're not stupid. I literally meet with Michael, and he just gives me all the reasons for Emma, and I'm like, yeah, of course, Emma is the target. Then I start thinking, and Michael is just such a big threat at the end. Because assuming I'm there, I vote out Emma, and obviously the plan is at 4 to get Kyle out, because I think he wins everything. So at the end, if I'm with Michael, Lucas, and myself, obviously, I don't win the game.
Yeah, I struggle because on a personal level, I really like Michael, but this is a game, and I'm not playing this game to keep the friendships that I've made. I'm leaning towards voting out Michael right now. I still need to talk with Emma to see what Emma wants to do. I don't know, just kind of interesting. After I gave him an idol to save himself after last tribe, I'm gonna be voting him out. So I think that's kind of funny.
Thanksgiving break happens, we don't talk game that much, but then I come back, because Lucas is my friend, I'll tell him that Michael is the biggest threat, we'll need to vote him out. And guess what, he doesn't agree. He's like, Emma is the bigger target. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, have you not played this game?
I want Michael, Polis, and I at the end. That's the possibility I'm foreseeing. And yeah, I want Emma out. She's been kind of snaky the whole time. And it's gonna be nice to like at least be ahead of her. But Michael texted me right away. It's clear he wants to get Emma out. People perceive Michael as maybe a bigger threat, but I don't think he's really that big of a threat. And I think hopefully we'll get Kyle out before the finale.
So the first thing is you can give me a big I told you so.
Literally actually irks me so bad, because also like if he wins the game, like he so deserves it. Like
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Like that's the one I think. That's the reason why I think it's like a big I told you so. Is like I just did not think about the fact that he could just win both of the last challenges. So I was thinking he would lose like at least one of them. Like, it's like
I literally told you, like
Yeah.
I was like, he's gonna win them. Like we know that that's gonna be our luck. And also since him and Emma are like so close, like is Emma? I'm confused. Like it seems like you're kind of close with Emma, so I feel like you probably know more than me. But like, at least earlier, it seemed like she was ready to stab him in the back at some point. But now is she like trying to ride it to the end with him?
I think she was trying to feel out whether or not I was actually down to like go to the end with Kyle. Because I was sort of like making this argument to them like, oh, like it works best for my game if I'm at the end sitting next to both of you, because like I think that you'll like take votes from each other, which is like not actually what I think. Like that's like I can't win if they're both there. I sort of asked, well, like how long do you plan to keep Kyle in the game? And she said, at this point, I don't think I can vote out Kyle at like a personal level. And I was like, oh wow. But I don't know. At this point, like she is just kind of taking him to the end, which I think is interesting on her part because Kyle's like perceived as the bigger threat. But like Emma has also played like a very good game, I think. Especially if Kyle goes out, like say Kyle goes out in fire, like the next round. Like I think at that point, like Emma is sort of vindicated. Her whole strategy of like sort of like
having him as a shield.
Yeah, where I see Emma's saving grace being is that Kyle doesn't win the next challenge and he goes out in fire and then Emma wins. I do think that if Emma sits at the end with like us or with like some permutation of like us and Polis, I think she wins. And that's sort of like what I'm thinking for this week.
No, yeah, you want him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like our mutual interest right now is like we have to sit at the end with Polis like if we want to win. Like we have a chance. All we have to do is is find a way to take out Kyle.
And I think he's really gonna go like really dummy, like he's gonna be, because he's gotten so far and I know he's very dedicated too, but like otherwise I think it's such a boring season if he wins.
It's a very boring
season. It's just so predictable that like because literally since day one he's been seen as like the biggest.
If he wins.
Yeah. So I really don't want
It
him
needs
to.
to be our season.
But Kyle, you deserve it. Like, I get it, you deserve it, but I don't want you to win. Ugh. This is not going how I wanted. And I'm also just angry at Michael. Like, I want to stay angry at Michael because we could have gotten Kyla a while ago and none of this would be happening. None of this would be happening. Stupid. At least Michael hasn't won a single thing either. Like, we're in the same boat. We're in the same boat, Michael. I'm literally the underdog of the show. Like, this is embarrassing. Like, I did not expect this. I remember a while ago I was making a video and I'm like, oh, I'm the main character. Oh, shut up, Lucas. You are not the main character. Like, you're literally losing.
Yeah, so I'm feeling great. I'm a little bit nervous about tonight's vote because I really don't want Emma to get voted out. So I have a plan going into tonight. Hopefully it works out the way that I think it should based on my conversations, but you never know playing this game. Because me and Emma are perceived as a duo, both of our votes are kind of on lock on Michael, and I'm pretty sure that Polis is on board with that idea because he's the one that pitched it. So if the vote goes how I think it should go tonight, Michael's going to be the one to decide.
I think that everyone can kind of agree that Kyle would have been going home had he not won immunity, but now we're sort of in a spot where, well, Kyle can't go home, so the options are myself or Emma. I don't think anybody really thinks that Lucas or Polis are threats to win it at the end.
Michael and Emma know that they're the two other biggest threats left in the game. I don't think either of them are going to be surprised that their names are getting written down tonight. We know that there's two different plans going on right now, so it really just comes down to Polis, and Polis is that crucial vote in all of this. Lucas is the shadiest person left in this game. He never gives me a straight answer one way or another on what he's going to be doing. And honestly, it's just caused a lot of waves with people for no reason. So Lucas's vote isn't critical to me this vote, which is why I didn't really feel the need to talk to him all that much. Quite honestly, I'd rather like solidify Polis over Lucas.
I'm pretty confident. Like I said, it's sort of my bread and butter to, convince others why it's in their best interest to keep me around. I think that the argument that I used is that the only thing more dangerous than Kyle sitting at the end is Emma sitting at the end without Kyle, because it validates her strategy of playing a more low-key game and sitting sort of behind Kyle while he gets taken out because he's a target.
I think the one thing that people haven't realized in this game is just how close Emma and I have gotten throughout the whole thing. She has 100% of my loyalty to the end, and I believe that I have hers as well. Excited to see how Tribal goes tonight. I'm just pumped that I'm safe. I can't really complain. Just like all my love. It's been a fun experience.
Hey everyone, Michael's time to go home tonight. Pouring one out for the Pub Alliance. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Final two. Tastes like victory.
Time to vote.
Wish us luck.
Welcome to Tribal Council. Welcome, welcome. Please turn on your candles, because in this game, fire represents life. And once your fire is out, so are you. Kyle, you've obviously got immunity tonight, free pass to the Final Four. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good. Honestly, since the Final 7 vote, I knew that if I didn't win the challenges, I was going to get sent packing. And to be at a point now where I'm safe and I can't get voted out of this game because fire making's at 4, it's really nice to know that my fate and the rest of the game's in my own hands and not in the hands of everyone.
Polis, throughout the whole season, we've heard a lot of talk about the strategy. It's my strategy, don't trust anyone. Do you feel like that's going to play well for you tonight?
Well, I don't think it's well characterized that I don't trust anybody. I don't think you need to trust anybody at the end of the game when the threats are really clear and the hierarchy is established. For example, Kyle, not to pick on him too much, right? But if he's without the immunity necklace, he's probably target number 1. So at that point, I don't need to trust anybody because I trust that they'll vote to their self-interest, right?
And how are you feeling about your plan tonight?
My plan? I think it's solid. I mean, as far as this vote goes, right? There's no idols, there's no there's nothing that can go away. It's like a pure vote.
pure survivor, season one, Richard Hatch, and I think at this point, I think it's to everyone's self-interest to vote the way that we said we will vote, and I think that will happen.
Lucas, how are you feeling about tonight's vote? Do you feel like you come in with a plan in place, with an alliance, a voting bloc?
I feel like alliances aren't really a thing anymore. You know, like it's final five. But yeah, like I know where I'm voting.
Michael, how are you feeling about tonight's vote?
Feeling pretty good. But as I've said at every tribal, I'm worried, especially because today I don't have anything to protect me. You know, for a lot of votes I've had idols or various other things to get me through. And tonight, like Polis mentioned, pure survivor, which is, you know, what I love, and, you know, hopefully things go as planned tonight.
Emma, everyone knows you and Kyle are pretty close. How does that factor into your decision making today?
I mean, Kyle, like, you can't vote for Kyle.
It's true.
I mean, I think to echo Lucas and Michael, like, I'm coming into tonight with a plan, and I hope that's what happens, but I'm also worried, and there's only 5 of us here. You can only vote for 4 of us, and that means that there's a pretty strong chance that it could be any of us, and so I hope I know what's happening, but you never know.
Lucas, let's say, you know, hypothetically speaking, you make it out of tonight's vote, you win today's challenge. Do you have an idea of who you'd want to bring into the final 3?
Honestly, not really.
To contrast that, I think today's vote is all about like threat management, right? Like there's no protection, so if you're perceived as the biggest threat, you'll get votes. So at this point at 5, since there's nowhere to hide, there's 2 layers, right? Like, okay, how likely are you to win at 3, right? So you're making your 3s. Okay, like if this happens at 4, this happens at 3, do I have a good chance to win against these certain people, right? And the second layer is, okay, how are likely that 3 to happen given this vote, right? So there's a bunch of layers, and being honest with Lucas, look, I have like 7 different final 3s thought out, and how it could happen, and like if this wins, will they pick this and that and that, and like I think I accounted for all of them and made the best decision for myself.
I think it's time to vote unless we got more questions.
No, it's not. Let's vote.
Kyle, you're up.
It's time to vote.
Oh.
Gotta be the last member standing of the Frat Alliance. 8 pi 1 sigma chi 0.
Hopefully one last blindside, and hopefully I am not the one blindsided.
Good luck. Hopefully this is the 3rd time your name's written down. It's been a pleasure.
Once the votes are read, the decision's final. The person voted out, be asked to leave the tribal council area immediately. I'll read the votes. 1 vote for Michael. 1 vote for Emma. That's 1 vote for Michael, 1 vote for Emma. 1 vote for Michael. That's 2 votes for Michael, 1 vote for Emma. 1 vote for Emma. That's 2 votes for Michael, 2 votes for Emma. And the 12th person voted off the first season of You Chicago Survivor, and the 6th member of our jury is Michael.
You guys got me.
Tribe has spoken. It's time for you to go.
Thanks everyone for the opportunity to be a kid again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you very much.
You know, this has been a crazy and awesome experience. Just to be a kid again. Going through this has really like caused me to remember like when I was younger and just watching Survivor with my mom, and you know, instead of playing with like video games, what I would do is I would, you know, take my like action figures or take my toys, whatever I had, and I would play Survivor with them. So I had a lot of fun, and good luck to everyone who's still in the game. I'm rooting for all of you.
The challenge is essentially half obstacle course, half puzzle. The obstacle course part, in the reg, there will be 6 locations marked off with X's on maps of the reg floor plan that we'll give to you. There's 1 location for each floor going from A to 5. Each of those locations will have the same set of puzzle pieces. Your goal is to get all 6 sets of puzzle pieces, and you will return to a pre-designated area to solve that puzzle, which Maya looks for.
So the puzzle has been seen twice on CBS Survivor. It has only ever been solved either time by one person, Michelle Fitzgerald. Basically, you have a set of puzzle pieces that will make in 2 layers 3 stacks of puzzle pieces that are the same height, and you'll have like a disc on top of them, and then stack up the second layer, put a disc on top of them. The discs should be flat.
Kyle, I'll take the next class, please. Alright. The last time this season, immunity is up for grabs. Survivors ready? Go. Gordon.
How many pieces?
11 pieces total to make 2 layers.
I was the first one back by a couple of seconds. So the regular people.
Emma's back. The plates are just to add like a layer.
I have it. Where's my plate?
Phyllis thinks he has it.
It's tight, boys. I mean, they all look tight. You can't tell them it's wrong.
Yep.
I won, right?
Yep.
Yes! Let's go.
Lois, congratulations on winning immunity this week. You've made it to the final 3, or at least you've made it to fire making, and you can choose to go to immunity at that point if you want. You can also choose to keep it and move on to the final 3. In addition, you'll be able to choose someone at next meeting to go to the final 3 with you. The remaining 2 people will choose in the fire making.
I do think people really see me as like one of the worst players, which is like part of my, it's hard because it's part of my strategy, but like at the same time, like it's gotten so far in the game where like maybe I need to switch that up, but I'm not going to start acting like serious. Like that's also not me as a person. I don't want to just be carried to the end, and I'm kind of, it's making it look like I'm getting carried right now. But I think I've been pulling my weight I was pulling my weight earlier. When me and Annie were like a power duo, I think I was definitely pulling my weight. I just think it's like harder now because I don't have Annie to look to.
I don't know. I feel like I have a great resume for the jury right now. I do think I have a great chance of winning. I will have blindsided over half the jury that's sitting up there between Jeff, Pablo, Michael, and Alex. And I don't know if that bodes very well for me for getting votes at the end to win. So that is also a big concern. I don't know. All in all, I've just had a great time playing. I know I'm a snake. People are going to be mad about it. Haters can be mad. It's fine. But we're good. We're vibing. So peace out.
I literally was telling my friend Sarah. I might bring this up at the end if I make it to the end. But I was telling my friend Sarah, like, oh, I want to be the dumb blonde of the season, just like sneak past. And like I kind of have been. But I think people still think I'm the dumb blonde, and they want to bring me to the end because I'm the dumb blonde, and I don't want the jury to perceive me as the dumb blonde still. Like, I think I've strategically thought out some of the plans that have been going on, and I want credit for that. I made it this far. I'm proud of how far I made it.
You guys on the way to final tribal. The Medici alliance never happened. Plus Jeff. I lead the minority.
We wanted to rope in Jeff though.
We did. Like that was the plan. But Annie didn't fucking do it.
Your fault.
How's it my
You
fault?
picked the tribe. You caused the minority on both sides.
Yeah. That was a miscalculation on my part. I was kind of dumb on that one. But because I.
Welcome to our final four. I wanna.
Okay, and now we will welcome the members of our jury. We have Jeff, Pablo, Gia, Annie, Alex, and Michael voted out at the last tribal council. Everyone, please turn on your electric candles because in this game, fire represents your life, and when your fire is gone, so are you, and that is especially true today. We will have real fire, very exciting, and for one of you, you will be going home and joining the jury as our last member.
How are we all feeling today?
Exciting. I mean, it's been about 10 weeks at this point of the game, so it's a great conclusion to a great season.
Are anyone confident about their abilities in today's fire making challenge?
I mean, I know I'm participating. I was a Boy Scout. Fire making is not new to me. I've got this.
Polis, you won immunity, which means you are choosing who is going to fire making. What has gone into your decision process when you're choosing?
Yeah, good question. So I'm maybe just kind of backing up, describing the challenge because I don't think everyone's seen it yet, but it's essentially the challenge you've seen any of the Michelle seasons. It's one of those find the puzzle pieces and build them up. So there's some athletic component of gathering the pieces and then building it up. And in terms of the pick, obviously, I think there's no secret, Kyle is the biggest threat. He's been the most visible. He's won a lot of immunities, and I think at that point he has to go, right? But the second decision for me is just like, who is the person to take him out, right? Who is more likely to win against fire, right? We have a Boy Scout there. We have a person that camps with their parents and build fire in difficult circumstances, right? So my first goal is taking him out because it's also a big risk to go to fire and take somebody off, especially such a threatening player as Kyle. So it's a big decision.
That it is. Lucas, throughout the last couple of days, have you talked to anyone about, either making Final Two or about fire making?
I have talked to Polis, and I was maybe interested in making fire. I thought it sounded interesting, but that also sounds kind of scary because it's cold outside, and I don't really want to actually make the fire. But yeah, I've definitely talked to people.
Emma, there's a very real possibility that you have to go against Kyle in fire making today.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I feel good. If someone is going to take Kyle out of this game, I would like it to be me. So I look forward to the opportunity.
That's what I've been hearing for the last 7 votes. Like, oh, I need him at the end. I'm never taking him out. So I don't know about her taking him out.
Polis,
Yes.
you mentioned Chris versus Natalie.
Yes.
Does this indicate that you are considering putting yourself up to make
Well,
fire?
first of all, it's not Chris versus Natalie. Chris won season 38 by
Yes.
putting himself to fire. And Natalie refused to put herself to fire against Tania, I assume, and she lost the season, right? And I mean, it's actually pretty similar to season 40. We have Tony and Sarah there, right? So we'll see what happens.
Kyle, who, would you most want to go against in fire making?
I've come to terms with the fact that it's probably going to be me and Emma making fire. Everyone wants to see it. It's been the build-up of the entire season, pretty much. And so be it. I mean, Polis called us Tony and Sarah. Like, there's not a much bigger compliment than that, so...
Emma, what are your thoughts on the jury vote today?
At this point in the game, we've kind of made the choices we've made. It's hard to do a lot at this point in the game to change opinions if opinions are already set by the jury members, and so I just have to focus on, if I make fire today, doing it as well as I can in that challenge and kind of letting the rest of the game speak for itself.
Polis, it is time for you to make this game decision. Who will be competing in the fire making challenge today?
From the first second I knew I was always going to fire. I just didn't want them to know, right? So with that, I'm gonna give this up.
Amazing.
And give it to my friend. Give it to my friend Lucas. How it feels, right? No worries, bud. And I'm gonna take Kyle at fire.
Amazing.
Sounds good. All right, Lucas and Emma, that means you guys are in final 3. And we're gonna get started with fire making. This is fire making. The way it's gonna work is as follows. You have the materials in front of you. You have the wood that's in front of you. You've got matches in front of you. You've got a match lighter, and you've got your string. You want to burn through the string with the materials that you're given by, constructing a fire. Obviously, you can't light a match and just burn off the string. You've got to use the wood that's available to you. A couple things. One, if you want to go grab kindling from the floor, you want to go grab leaves from around, if you find a stick anywhere in the park, you're more than welcome. All right, that is an option available to you. You do not get extra matches until both players have run out of matches. All right, I'm gonna count you guys off, starting with 3, 2, 1. On the count of go, you guys can start.
Can you get a knife or something?
No. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, Polis is constructing what looks like a triangle, square base.
Kyle also.
He's gathering kindling now. Kyle's off. Kyle's off to the races to grab kindling.
Grabbing some leaves.
Kyle has way more leaves over
Piling up leaves.
Will be helpful.
Kyle's going for his first match. Oh, he's got it lit instantly. Let's see how well it lights.
The leaves are catching on fire, but they will burn quickly. Kyle has a flame. Can he keep it going?
Oh, that's a fire. Hey. Polis is going still. He's still trying to construct something. I feel like he's got his first match on. And we're trying to light a leaf.
Kyle definitely has a strong flame going. Oh, we can tell by the smoke.
One leaf down.
It's going in his face.
Anyone else do the Gray Bunny thing where you're like, Gray Bunny, Gray Bunny?
Wow.
What?
No?
Kyle's fire is burning very strong.
Polis has a small fire going. A couple of leaves on.
Oh.
Not much going. He's got to catch up fast if he wants to catch up to Kyle. Kyle's got a lot of material on that fire right now.
You can see the fire just licking the string, but will it be enough to burn through?
Are they allowed to use leaves?
Oh, this fire is just getting going now.
They have like.
Oh. He's
she's definitely
Oh, and Kyle's string is on fire.
String is on fire.
Whoa.
Oh, is Polish gonna make it? And Kyle's string is broken.
Was not a Boy Scout.
Congratulations, Kyle, for winning fire making.
All right.
Jesus.
Kyle, you may join the final three in your rightful place. Congratulations.
That does mean, Polish, that you're going to be the 7th member of our jury today.
No, this one was a courageous move.
I kind of wanted to
Hello.
All right, after a very intense fire-making challenge, Kyle's moved on to the final three, and Polis, you will unfortunately be joining the jury. How do you feel about your experience just in Survivor so far?
Well, for the fire, I think I still made the right move. It's just he was better at fire, so kudos to him.
We are now going to transition into the final tribal council. So you three will each give an opening statement. Try and keep it pretty short, you know, a minute or so. Then we will have... Is that too short?
Can I have like 5 minutes?
We will have the jury question you one by one. We're going to start with Jeff, then we're going to go down the line, and then we're going to have everyone vote one by one, and then we will read aloud the votes and announce the winner. So with that, we will start with opening statements. Emma, would you like to go first?
Sure. So first, I just want to say that this was such a fun experience. This will be one of the best things I did in college, and it's been so good getting to know all of you, and I hope that we're all friends after the game. I know that it is no secret that Kyle and I have worked very closely together through most of this, and the key argument I would like to make is that I think we both had strengths and brought different things to our alliance, and primarily I feel that I played a very strategically based game. I brought a lot of our strategic ideas to the table, and I think that in particular my ability to assess risk and make decisions based on those risks, whether or not it was the most obvious decision to make, throughout the game has allowed me to sit here today, and not only sit here, but sit here with Kyle. It's very rare that duos make it through the game together, and I look forward to hearing all of your questions. Thank you.
All right, Lucas. Okay, hi everyone. I also had fun playing the game, and I hope it also came across that my game was one of strategy and persuasion, but I think a lot of people were telling me things because they thought they could trust me, or they thought they could easily influence me, and I think that was helpful. And from the very first tribal that I had, I've always been thinking about what vote would be best for me. I got Allie out first because I knew that she has a great personality, and I really appreciated her. And I knew she was funny, and I knew she was somebody that'd want to get taken to the end. Pablo, you told me that you wanted to get Kyle out next week. Otherwise, it was probably going to land on Annie, and since Annie was my #1 alliance member, I had to flip it onto you, and I had to tell people that you wanted to get Kyle out. I told Kyle because I knew he would then flip the vote onto you. Gia, that was probably the biggest vote, the most influential vote. Annie played her advantage. But something that you may or may not know is it wasn't Annie's advantage, it was actually my advantage. I was the one who found it, and I gave it to Annie because it was best for me to have Annie play it, because if the votes were landing on me, it would make sure that you were going out basically no matter what if somebody happened to flip Gia. But I got 2 people to play their idols. I convinced Kyle to play his. I was texting him, I was like, oh, you're safe tonight, don't worry about playing your idol, because I knew it would make him second guess and play his idol. And both of you guys did play your idols that night. So I would kind of say I took complete, that was my vote. When I think about Emma and Kyle, at least for me, they didn't persuade me on anything, I don't think. I don't think I ever remember a time when they persuaded me, and I think I tried to persuade some of you. So, yes, thank you for the game. I'm sorry that was so long.
All right,
yeah.
You deserve this. It's been such a pleasure playing with all of you guys. This truly has been one of my favorite experiences in college so far. When I came into this game, I wanted to make big moves, and I wanted to prove to myself that I could do more than what I thought I was capable of. I knew my social game coming into this game was going to be strong,
In terms of outplaying, I won 3 individual immunity competitions and won the fire-making challenge to earn my spot at the end. I had established myself as the biggest social threat in the game starting at Final 9 when everyone voted for me for having the most alliances, the most trusted player in the game, among other things. I backed a few of you into corners that made you work with me. One notable example is at Tribe Swap. That was a position where the decisions made should not have worked out in my favor. I think the decision that Allie made, quite frankly, is what saved my game, and I wouldn't be in this position if that decision hadn't been made. I think I played a big part in every single person sitting on the jury right now, except for Gia. Love you, Gia. But yeah, I had a good grasp of what was going on in this game, and I hope that with your questions, I can show that to you.
All right, Jeff, you're up first. Emma and Kyle, Kyle, yourself admitted that you kept your final statement shorter and sweeter. Emma, yours was also shorter. Lucas gave a very long and impassioned plea. Emma and Kyle, do you guys think you're entitled to win this game?
I don't think that I'm entitled to win this game. I really want my moves to speak for themselves more so than me having to justify every single thing that I did. I think I played a game that was very right out there in front of everyone. I wanted to hear what questions you have for me because I feel like I've already shown a lot of my cards to
In
people.
that case, Kyle, the elephant in this fire circle is that you were safe for 8 out of the 12 voting ceremony tribal councils in this game. Through idols, through safeties, and through tribal victories. Does it not indict your game that some of those were necessary to your survival in the game? Is it not an indictment of your social standing rather than speak to its quality, as you said your speech?
I think that there's a combination there in play. Because I was not safe for every vote, and I think that those were the critical moments in my game where my social relationships are what kept me in the standing of the game. I think without those social connections and relationships, I could have easily been taken out. That being said, I do understand that me being safe for a lot of this game does eliminate those opportunities to have evidence for that. But I also think that it was very clear that there was a target on my back, and everyone had equal opportunity in those individual immunity challenges to be winning and keeping themselves safe. And I think that the amount of hours that I put into searching for the 3 idols that I found, I made a study sheet for the quiz immunity challenge that I won. And I think that the first individual immunity I won being how well you socially understand the group that you're playing with, I think those are all testaments to the fact that I put in effort both socially and in the physical aspects of this game.
All right, Pablo. All right. What's up, guys? It's nice to see you all again. My first question is for Lucas. Who do you think played a better game between Kyle and Emma, and why?
Emma, every time I talk to Emma every week, she always had this similar formula of being like, I just want to go with the majority, what should we do? And I knew she was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I kind of saw it from, I saw right through it kind of. Kyle made it he would say hey bestie, or he'd call me, and I feel like he made it seem like we were really, really close. So him blindsiding me, I guess, kind of hurt me a little bit more because he didn't tell me beforehand. I would call him the week he was voting me out, and he was laughing, and it just hurt a little bit more. So I think maybe I would say Emma because she was just nicer about things, I guess.
Great,
yeah.
Sure. All right, next is for Emma. First of all, I totally understand the decision you made at 9. It makes a lot of sense, and thank you for speaking on that. My question for you is, you talked a lot about, this duo, this pairing in your pitch, in your speech, we both played critical parts, but kind of the main idea was that you guys went to the end together. That was kind of the big piece. But in terms of individual merit, what makes you a winner?
I believe that Kyle did have a giant target on his back for most of this game, and kudos for him for making it through with that target on his back. Survivor, however, does not have to be defined by always having a giant target on your back and always surviving that. And I think I embody a different version of that. I knew that I did not want to put a gigantic target on my back. I knew that my best way through the game was to try to fly under the radar, to try to find alliances that I could leverage. And so I think my ability to constantly do that, constantly check myself and check what was going on in the game, has allowed me to survive in definitely a different sense, but still one that's still very deserving of sitting here.
Yep, no, definitely. I think you played an amazing game. All right, lastly, Kyle. You've been an incredible player, strategically, socially, whatever. You've been dominant, right? You've had a lot of clutch moments. We saw it right here like an hour ago. That was incredibly clutch. Outside of winning all these challenges, what do you think was your biggest move at a strategic level?
I think my biggest move on a strategic level was actually the vote on you. That in and of itself, I felt almost backed Michael into a corner a little bit in terms of we took you out and the options just decreased by 1 for that alliance moving forward. And I think that was critical for the way that the game progressed forward afterwards. So I would say that.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, Gia.
All right, all of you guys have a fair chance of getting my vote. I want to start out by saying it's not set. So, Emma, you worked with Kyle so much. I need you to differentiate yourself. How is your strategy different than his? What moves did you specifically made that he did not?
So, vote-wise, we have voted together every time, and so I cannot differentiate myself in that aspect. I think, touching on what I talked about with Pablo, I did not want to put myself out there as a big target. That was a way I differentiated my game. I specifically made moves that were strategic. I came up with a lot of strategic moves, but another part of my strategy was within every move, basically, how can I distance myself from this move? How can I make it look like I was not a driving force behind this move in a way that people won't look at me for the next vote right after? I think additionally, again, with risk management, in the challenges, I believe at 7 and 6, it was the obstacle course challenge and the challenge where we had to memorize the deck of cards. In those challenges between them, found 3 clues for the idol. The fact that I got those clues from the challenges, kept them to myself, and then shared them with Kyle, knowing that I could trust him in such a way that we had complete control over that 3rd idol and know that it went to a spot in the game that we're allowed to move forward, I think is another strength that I would speak to in terms of making sure I controlled the game, knew what was happening, knew what the other variables were, and every time making a decision to minimize risk such that I had the strongest chance of moving forward.
Lucas, were you ever on the wrong side of a vote?
So, I would say...
Your vote specifically. Like, just like what you cast versus the outcome.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which votes?
I was on the wrong side of the Annie vote, because since I wasn't gonna vote out Annie, like she was my closest ally. I think either way, when I think of being on the wrong side of the vote, I don't think it really matters like where your vote was if you knew where it was kind of going.
Did you with Annie? And
yes, like Michael told me
decision?
beforehand, and Alex met with me like 10 minutes before the meeting, and he was telling me that he wasn't gonna vote out Annie. But like since he was meeting with me 10 minutes before, it was kind of assumed that like, oh, he was gonna vote out Annie. And the other vote that I was voted on the wrong side of was Michael, and I think I kind of explained that earlier. I wanted to keep the trust that me and Michael kind of like, he said he wanted with me, and I kept it with him.
Kyle, I want you to comment on Lucas's game because I was really interested in hearing your side of the story about how you're behind every vote as a driving force, and I want to hear your comments because you too were behind most of the votes. So how do you think it compares? Who was actually in control? You or Lucas?
I was kind of laughing when Lucas was making those comments a little bit, because I do think that I was a driving force behind most of the votes that happened, along with Emma. For example, the vote on Pablo, after Emma and I had come to the decision to blindside Pablo, I had the votes to get Pablo out within 20 minutes of FaceTiming different people. Numbers were my game. I think that, at least in terms of like the positioning, I don't think Lucas was the mastermind behind all of the moves that were being made. I think that Lucas followed more so what other people were doing when he heard that the vote was going a certain way. And that's kind of what I relied on when I told Lucas certain information.
All right, Annie, you're up.
So Emma, I noticed you've been asked a lot about Kyle so far. I apologize, I'm going to continue that trend. So I'm going to ask, if Kyle had been voted out, say at Final 7 or like some other time, but that seems like maybe one of the more likely times it might have happened, how do you think you would have approached it from there? Because like I know you played under the radar a lot and that definitely helps with it, him being in the game, so that might have made you more of a target, or like do you have any like, yeah, that would have been my secondary alliance, or would it have been more like, I don't know, I just want to hear about that.
So I don't know that if I can speak to like a specific choice I would have made, or like this is exactly who my alliance would have been. I do agree that had Kyle been taken out at that vote at 7, I would have been much more exposed after that. I think realistically my two options would have been to consider, considering or continuing to work with Michael and Alex in what is the viability of us moving forward. And at that point we would have been kind of outnumbered, and so what is our ability to like get through the cracks and potentially save ourselves. Alternatively, flipping my alliance, and had you still been in the game, Polis and Lucas at that point hadn't been voting with them as much, but is there a way to work myself in there? Is there a way to create an entirely new alliance moving forward?
Kyle, I feel like everyone comes into Survivor with the idea of not necessarily they'll assume they'll win, but they assume that there's a chance of that and sort of play with that in mind, like ultimately my goal is to win. But sort of deep down, can you talk about how your evolution of your own thoughts of your chances of winning changed from the very start of Survivor toward the end? Did you start off thinking you had a good shot of winning? Did it sort of come into crystallization around the merge, like, oh, I can really do this?
I think the Final 9 challenge, in terms of establishing myself as that social threat and like actually seeing what other people thought about me by the group consensus, and then also making that move on Pablo, at that point, that's when it became a reality to me that like, hey, I do have a good chance of winning this game. From that point forward, I did make more big moves, and I've tried to build up my resume. I didn't want to play a quiet game. That wasn't something I wanted to do coming in. And I don't know, I think as the game has gone on, I've gotten more and more confident, but only because I've put in the work and also made the moves that I think are deserving of winning this game.
All right, Alex, you're up.
I'm going to start off with Lucas first. Lucas, you claim to have like this very persuasive and strategic game, and I don't doubt that. But from my perception, I don't want to speak to the jury, but there's been a couple conversations where it seems like your game is more emotionally charged. You claim that you would have never voted out Annie, the Gia vote. It's interesting that you take full credit for that when I was balancing both sides of the alliances there. And, I, in a sense, got the feeling that you were targeting Gia more so because you had a vendetta against her rather than a strategic reason. So my question to you is to really convince me right now that, like, none of your decisions were emotionally charged or strategic. If you can do that, like, that'll really help me.
For Annie, I think that was maybe the most emotional part for me, because I do think that was an emotional weakness for me, and I really did appreciate Annie's and I's friendship. I don't think I would have gotten her out. I probably would have brought her as far as I could have, just because I think it was just more worth it being friends with Annie than anything else. One of the reasons why I sometimes maybe sounded more emotional, like, oh, I want to get Gia out for these and these reasons, I think it was because I wanted to distance myself from Gia, because a lot of people thought of us as like a pair or like working together.
It's a good answer, actually. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Emma, Kyle, I know when I was voted out, I said it's all love, no hard feelings. And then I got on a plane for 4 hours, and then I got on a car ride for 8 hours, and I had all the time in the world to think about it. And I can honestly say, like, it really did kind of hurt, because the three of us, I really thought, like, we were a close alliance, we were running the game, and I don't take the move personally in the sense, because I understand that, it was the best move. However, during that week, it was very obvious that I was going, and I went to you both on 2 separate occasions and said, hey, you two are being very suspicious. And it was like me saying, like, hey, like, who stabbed me in the backyard? Are these your knives? And you guys were like, no. And I would be like, it literally says property of Kyle and Emma. And you both were like, it wasn't us.
I do apologize if you were hurt. Like, of course, it was nothing personal. Had you been in the game at 5, I guess the question will never be answered, but I felt that there was just a larger chance that you might have flipped and might have targeted me at 5 than Michael. After that challenge, and we kind of had the incident with the clues, and you said I should have flipped, like that was, to be honest, that was kind of the moment at which it was, I mean, that was an emotionally charged moment, and I don't understand it, and of course, like, there's no hard feelings about it, but for me personally, it was, if you were this willing to say that, in just, like, a moment's thought, kind of, how easily might you be convinced at 5 to flip? And so, truthfully, it was a risk thing. And I felt that by taking you out at 6, it left the best chance for me to stay in at 5.
Kyle, lastly, we talked a lot, and you always said you thrived in drama. You did not come here to make friends. And a lot of times you were like, I don't care who I blindside. I don't care if they feel any type of way. I'm here to play a game, right? So while I don't take the move against me personally, but all week, calling me and being like, we're in the final 5, I'm playing this idol on you, pulling me aside in public and being like, you're in it, do you feel like that was necessary, especially when I told you, like, I know you're voting me out, and yet it kind of felt like you were purposely instilling false hope?
I definitely did come into this game. In my interview with Callie, I said that I was going to lie, cheat, and steal my way to the top. Obviously, cheating and stealing aren't acceptable ways of playing those games, so I didn't do those. But I had no problem with lying. At home, my mom calls me a shit disturber. In my house, I'm known as a snake and the king of game night because I will manipulate people to win games. On a personal level, like, not game related, like, you and I had conversations where, like, I think, like, that week you had been struggling with school or something, and, like, the RA in me kicked in, and I was, like, trying to support you through that. But it all came back to what was the best decision for me to position myself in this game, and ultimately, I had to keep it in the lens of the game that I was playing.
Thank you, guys.
We're coming towards the end. Michael, you're up.
All right. Hey, guys. First, I want to say congratulations for making it to the final 3. I guess the first thing that I want to say is I want to address Lucas. I am going to give you the same service that I gave you at 8 when I thought you were voting out, and I'm going to say I am not voting for you, unfortunately, because there does just reach a certain point in the game where you have to take a little bit more strategic agency than I think that you had in the game. That being said, I do think that you played a much better game than a lot of the jury members will give you credit for, and I think you should be really proud of the game that you played. And you made it here. That's a feat in of itself, and, like, you should be very proud of that. I think you played a great game. I think that this final trial is about Kyle and Emma, and I think it's about piecing out who had not only the strategic agency, but who simply played the better game from all of the elements and all the criteria that we could possibly have. And I want to say that, like, my decision is not yet made. I think this is a very tough decision, and I'm still actively making it. And your answers will sway my vote. The first thing I want to say is congratulations to you both for beating me. Kyle, I made a bet at 7 to keep you around that you would not win the next 2 challenges, and you did. I think it is true, and I think the rest of the jury knows this, that had you not, strung off those challenges, you would not be sitting here. And one of the things that you said in particular I found to be pretty interesting, which was that at the Pablo vote, after that vote, you thought you would back me into, sort of back me into a wall. And I found that very interesting because I felt that after the Pablo vote, you had been backed into a wall. And so in that way, I feel like you made a strategic error. Can you talk a little bit more about how you were a strategic threat in this game and how that decision and any decision you made in this game were not strategic errors?
Yeah, no, I can totally see that perspective on the move on Pablo. As much as it can be perceived as a strategic error, I knew I was also forcing myself into that position, but I knew that that was a position that I needed to be in the game in order to have a mutual vested interest between the big threats in the game to keep each other in, because at that point I had been established as a big social threat.
Thanks. Moving now to your game, Emma. I think that the perception, and I think that the strategy that you were playing with, at least from our perspective, it was sort of play under the radar, sort of sit behind a bigger threat in Kyle, and have more of a low-key degree of strategic agency. My question is the fact that Kyle is here, did your strategy work?
I think in a lot of regards, yes, because I am still here. I made a bet that at some point Kyle might lose an immunity. At some point, Kyle would have flushed an idol. There was a large chance that, like, at 6 and 5, if Kyle didn't win both of those challenges, he would have been voted out. And that was the risk I took.
Again, congratulations to all three of you. Played an excellent game.
All right, fire's dying out. We got one more jury member left.
So first of all, congratulations. I mean, you beat me there, so good for you. And just before I start the actual questions, I want to hear your perspective. Had I won against Kyle, do you think I win against the two of you?
I do not feel that way. You've played a really great game, and beating Kyle in fire would have been a huge accomplishment. Based on my assessment and what I do know of your game, I don't feel that it was quite as strategic.
But I think I would have beaten you because, like, throughout it, I think I was on, like, I knew more about what was happening in the game than you did.
I think it would have been a toss-up at that point between you and Emma. If I'm being personally honest, my personal feelings would have affected my jury vote, and I would have voted for Emma because I sat next to Emma this entire game and I saw the game that she had played. But I do think if you had beaten me in fire making, your chances of winning skyrocketed from where they were at beforehand. So, yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say.
Perfect. Thank you for those. So now, going to Kyle first. My sense of the game and how I like to play it and how I see the best strategy, the optimal meta strategy to play the game is to have a lot of shields, to play under the radar, and never be up for grabs. I was available to be voted out every single time, but I never got a single vote per jury, right? I was always there. I knew where the numbers were gonna land. I knew other than the 10 vote, I knew where everything was going to happen, so I didn't know where the other comment is coming from. But besides that, I think in your game, you didn't utilize that at all. I feel like everyone keeps talking about 9 as being the big vote. I think your biggest mistake was at 10, when you decided to get Jeff out. Because at that point, we go to a game and everyone's talking, Kyle is the biggest threat, Pablo is the biggest threat. At that point, you were the biggest threat at the game, right? For me, I have to see why did you ever make the move at 10? Like, how do you justify it? Because I feel like that's where your game sunk. Yes, the 10.
That vote was based on information that I had received before merge happened, that there was already talk about my name going around from Jeff. Specifically, the twins told me that before going into merge. In terms of your comments about not utilizing the strategy of hiding, I'm a competitive person. It has never been in my personality to not play to win. So with the challenges and everything else, like, I was not going to hide behind anyone. The odds of me sitting here right now are super, super low, and yet I still did them somehow. So
I think that's your biggest mistake. The odds were low.
Yeah, but the fact that I made it here is impressive. So you can't diminish that fact.
Yes, if you had taken them out, right? But now she got all the credit. She gets all. What's been happening for the past 2 hours? People try to distinguish yourselves, right, between you and Emma. And at that point, I don't know who made what, and that's your problem, right? Because you can't necessarily distinguish yourself from her, but you didn't take any hit. She was not at risk at any point, and you were. And at this point, oh, we worked together. She came up. I got the connection. So I feel for me it's hard because at that point she has you dominated. So for me it's hard to kind of.
It's an interesting perspective, different than mine, but I respect it.
Yes, I agree. So I think like that was your biggest mistake, kind of pushing the pedal. So yes, I agree. You have to push the pedal, but not at 10. At 10 we just merged. Why would you ever expose yourself like that? Jeff was never gathering them, but obviously.
And yet I'm still here, so.
Yes, and good luck.
Thanks.
The other thing I wanted to say for you is you mentioned you had a big social game, you had the connections, and that's how you kind of got all the numbers. What was the purpose? Because I know the connection between you and I, right? When I said I'm gonna vote you out, and I call you up, like you say, oh, we don't have anything to talk about. Just hang up. We don't have to talk. How good do you think that is a social game? Like why would you ever kind of deny me the conversation?
I wasn't going to entertain a conversation that I knew I had no pull over. So if you were planning on targeting me anyway, like what was the point of me entertaining that conversation? Like what were you going to tell me? Pitch a different idea and then expect me to believe that that's what you were doing?
But I think that's the fault. You should have just entertained me.
I don't think that's a fault.
Because
you entertained no one's BS during this entire game. You said during one tribal you didn't trust anyone, and then the next tribal you were saying, well, I trust these people while we were voting out Michael. Like, I wasn't going to deal with that. I didn't need to deal with that. I knew where the votes were going anyway. So
yes, but my sense is just I want to get a knock on your social game, right? Because I'm at the end either way. Like, assuming you want me at the end, right, to vote for you, right? And you kind of stonewalling me at that point, like that definitely doesn't increase your chances of voting for you, right? So why would you ever not take the 2 minutes to say like, oh, I think this and that, whatever, right?
You had already told me to my face multiple times you were coming after me.
Yes, exactly, and that's the
thing. So why did I need to talk to you?
Because then I feel better, and then I'm more likely to vote for you. Okay. How is that not clear?
No, like that is clear,
exactly.
But also like I wasn't gonna do it.
Exactly, and I think that's your fault. That's all I'm saying.
That's cool.
You should have entertained it. You spend an hour studying.
Thank you.
That's all I'm saying. Okay, well, thank you very much for the answers. I appreciate all your games. And whatever said, I mean, you're here, I'm not. So, congratulations, and I think you all had a fair shot at this. I'm not like Michael. I could vote. I think I'm possibly voting for Lucas. So.
I think you should do that. I agree. Let's all follow policies. Follow a model.
Let's do all caps. I hope I spell. There's no way I'm gonna spell this wrong. Girl bosses stick together. Good job, everybody.
Okay. Should have wrote your name down a couple weeks ago, but better late than never.
I can't respect Kyle's game. Emma just didn't give me anything. She was like, oh, I love him, whatever. Like, of course you wanted to have it down. You wanted to just play this horrible game, and she just couldn't verbalize that. And I feel like she just lost that tribal. At the end, I'm stuck with Lucas. He's a good friend of mine, so good luck to him.
It was so hard. I debated back and forth. Kyle made himself a social threat while Emma stayed in the background.
I just think it's unimpeachable how she sort of was the strategic, or one of the most strategically dominant forces in the game, and totally flew under the radar the whole time, especially with the final fight vote.
Going into this, I thought I was going to vote for Kyle, and then it flipped back and forth like 8 times, and I just made this decision as it was straight.
Last vote.
Last vote out, last vote. I was thinking a lot about an analogy that describes this game, because as someone who's watched every season of Survivor, some games are like poker, some games are like chess. This game, it's kind of like pool. Emma, you and I played, Alex as well, played a great game. We made our shots, but we gave Kyle one opportunity to run the table, and he did. You might not have played the best strategic game, but you executed when you needed to, and you played the game you chose to play. You took your fate in your own hands, and the crucial error that you made, Emma, was sitting at the end next to him. So, congratulations, you outplayed me, and we'll see if you outlast.
We are rolling for the last time.
Show the audience, too. Show the audience.
Before we read out the final votes for the winner of Survivor Chicago Season 1, we are going to introduce a new Survivor Chicago ritual. We have kept all the votes from this whole season, and we are going to burn them. Do I see it happen?
You gotta like zoom in on all the names.
I mean, 4 Alex there?
It's a passage.
Well, look at that. The one I opened was to yours, Alex.
Wait.
Fuck you guys.
Alex escaped.
He lives! He lives!
Guys, who put the devil emoji on my phone? I did it.
Oh, that's right.
Paulus, you did the
All
devil
right.
emoji on my phone.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's time to read the votes. 1 vote for Kyle. 1 vote for Lucas. That's 1 vote for Kyle, 1 vote for Emma, and 1 vote for Lucas.
4th vote is for Kyle.
Fifth vote is for Emma. That's 2 votes for Kyle, 2 votes for Emma, 1 vote for Lucas.
6th vote is for Emma. This means that if the last vote is for Kyle, there will be a tie.
And our 7th vote is for Emma.
Oh,